Hey everyone, welcome. We're doing a deep dive today
hmm
into Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps to financial freedom.
Uh,
You know, the 7 baby steps to financial freedom. This is inspired by a video created by Dave Ramsey.
okay.
Now,
Yeah.
I know tons of people, I mean millions, right, have used these steps and they swear by them, but we're not just going to list them off today. We're going to really dissect them, you
Yeah.
know,
Right.
understand the why, see how they kind of challenge conventional financial wisdom.
Yeah. What I find so interesting about the baby steps is how they really tap into the psychology behind our behavior with money, especially when it comes to, that big scary D word, debt.
Yeah.
Debt. Ramsey's not afraid to call it out, to call it what it is, a trap. He doesn't even buy into that good debt stuff that we're always told
Yeah,
about.
he really doesn't. He makes that super clear. Like he really drives home that idea that
Yeah.
the borrower is slave to the lender.
Yes. Powerful statement.
It really is.
And it makes you think when you hear a number like this. U.S. credit card debt alone is over $11 trillion.
That's trillion with a T.
Trillion with a T, that's right.
That is wild.
It's eye-opening, isn't it? And that's where Ramsey's concept of gazelle intensity comes into play. It's this idea of tackling your debt head on, like with everything you've got, like a gazelle running from, a lion.
Oh, I love that analogy.
It really captures the urgency.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So, okay, gazelle intensity, I'm feeling pumped already. But how do we actually put that into action? What do we do?
Well, it all starts with the debt snowball method, and this is where Ramsey kind of goes against the grain of what financial experts usually advise. Typically, you're told to tackle the debt with the highest interest rate first, right? Makes sense on the surface,
Yeah.
but Ramsey says, nope. List all your debts, smallest to largest. It doesn't matter what the interest rate is, and you attack that smallest one with everything you've got.
Okay, I gotta say, I've always been a little skeptical of this approach. Like, why not go for the high interest debt first? Save money in the long run, right?
Yeah, I get it. But the psychology behind it is powerful. Think about it. Every time you knock out a debt, no matter how small, your brain gets this little hit of dopamine. Like, hey, I did it. And that, my friend, is what fuels your motivation to keep going.
So it's like those small wins keep you going.
Exactly. It's like a snowball effect, but for your motivation. And there's research to back this up, by the way. A Harvard Business Review study found that folks who use the debt snowball, they're actually 30% more likely to become completely debt-free.
Wow, 30%, that's huge. Okay, I'm starting to see the light here. So you've paid off all that debt, you're free,
Yeah,
you're dancing in the streets, you're like debt free.
party time.
Yeah, totally. But what's next? Where do we go from there?
Okay, hold your horses. Before you even think about investing or making any big purchases, Ramsey emphasizes the need for a fully funded emergency fund. He suggests having 3 to 6 months of living expenses tucked away in a safe and accessible account.
Now, wouldn't it make more sense to invest that money right away, get that money working for you, building wealth, all that?
Well, sure, investing is super important for the long haul, but think of this emergency fund as your financial safety net, your insurance against those curveballs life throws your way.
Okay, curveballs.
Yeah, car repairs, sudden job loss, things happen.
Right. Medical emergency? You never know.
Exactly. Without that cushion, those unexpected expenses, they can really send you right back into debt, and you've worked so hard to get out of it.
Right. It's like starting from square one all over again. And statistically speaking, are those financial emergencies really that common?
You'd be surprised. Get this, 78% of Americans will experience a major financial setback in a decade.
Wait, 78%? I had no idea it was that high.
Yeah, it's a pretty staggering statistic. Having that emergency fund, it really can be the difference between weathering the storm or, getting totally swept away.
Okay, that's a powerful visual. So debt's gone, emergency funds in place, we're feeling good. What's next on this journey to financial freedom?
This is where things get really exciting. We move from that intense survival mode to a more intentional, thriving mindset. We're talking baby step 4, investing 15% of your household income for retirement.
Okay.
Long game.
Retirement.
Yeah. And I get it. Retirement feels like forever away,
Right.
especially when you're just starting out.
It does.
But this is where the magic of compound interest comes in. Ramsey is all about harnessing that power. And by the way, Albert Einstein called it the eighth wonder of the world.
The eighth wonder of the world.
I mean, if Einstein says it, it's got to be true.
That's pretty convincing.
Right. Okay, imagine this. You're 25 years old. You start investing $150 a month. Just $150. And let's say you earn an average of 10% return. By the time you hit 65, guess how much money you'd have?
I don't know, a lot.
A lot. Over $1.3 million.
Hold on. $1.3 million from just $150 a month. Is that even possible?
Now, to be fair, those numbers are a simplified illustration. 10% returns consistently. Markets go up and down. But the point is to illustrate how small, consistent contributions combined with time and the magic of compounding can really make a huge difference.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. But finding an extra $150 a month to invest, that's not always easy, especially, when you're starting out just trying to make ends meet.
I hear you. It's not always easy, but that gazelle intensity mindset can really come in handy here. It's about being creative, being resourceful, maybe cutting back on unnecessary expenses, maybe picking up a side hustle, anything to free up those funds for investing.
Right. So where do you even start? I mean, when it comes to investing, there are so many options out there. It's overwhelming.
It can be. But Ramsey's go-to recommendation is starting with low-cost index funds. And these funds, they basically offer you broad market exposure. It's like instead of putting all your eggs in one basket, you're investing in a slice of the entire market.
So diversify, diversify, diversify.
Exactly. And the beauty of index funds is that they're passively managed, which means lower fees. And keeping those costs low, that's super important because over time, those fees can really eat into your returns.
Got it. So index funds, low fees, diversification, check, check, check. But, what about all the hype you see online these days about things like day trading or Bitcoin? Like, are those legitimate ways to invest, or is that just like a quick way to lose your money?
Ramsey's pretty clear on this. Those are speculative ventures, not long-term investing strategies. He compares investing to planting a tree and watching it grow over time.
I like that.
Yeah. Speculation is more like trying to, catch lightning in a bottle.
Right. A lot riskier.
Exactly.
So plant those trees, let them grow, ditch the day trading apps.
Exactly. It's about building a solid foundation for the future.
Now, I know we've got a few more baby steps to cover.
A few more.
But we'll save those for next time.
Absolutely.
We've got a whole lot more to dive into.
Yes. It's amazing, how Ramsey emphasizes thinking long-term. It's not just about ditching the debt.
Right.
It's about building a life where, money isn't this constant source of stress.
Yeah.
It's a tool to reach your goal.
Totally. And a lot of times those goals involve, our kids.
Right.
Like providing for their education. And that can be like a huge expense.
Oh, absolutely.
College costs are just like through the roof these days. So baby step 5 is all about, getting a head start on saving for those expenses.
Yeah.
And Ramsey highlights ESAs and 529 plans as like these really powerful tools that parents can use.
Yeah.
I've heard of those, but I'll be honest, I don't really fully understand the difference. Like, what are they exactly?
Sure, yeah. So an ESA or education savings account, like a, super-powered savings account,
Yeah.
but specifically for education. So you put in after-tax money.
Okay.
But then the earnings grow tax-free.
Oh, okay.
And when you use the money for, those qualified educational expenses, guess what? Withdrawals, tax-free.
Wow. So it's like totally tax-free.
Tax-free, yes.
That sounds like almost too good to be true.
It's pretty great. But of course, there's a catch, the biggest one, the contribution limit. Right now, it's capped at $2,000 a year per beneficiary.
Per beneficiary.
So it's a great way to start early, let that tax-free growth work its magic. But it might not cover every single college expense.
Right, right. So, okay, what about the 529 plans then? Like, how do those fit into this whole picture?
So a 529 plan, it's a state-sponsored investment account. And just like with the ESA, your contributions grow tax-deferred. Withdrawals are tax-free. But the key difference here is that 529 plans have much, much higher contribution limits.
Okay.
We're talking often tens of thousands of dollars per year.
Oh, wow. So, okay, you could potentially save a whole lot more. But are there downsides with 529 plans?
Well, typically they offer a more limited range of investment options compared to an ESA. And if the funds aren't used for, those qualified educational expenses, you're going to face taxes and penalties on those earnings.
Right, right. So ESA is good for early, tax-free growth, lower contribution limits, 529, higher limits, less flexibility, but potential penalties.
Got it. You got it.
Okay, so we've set our kids up for like educational success.
Yes.
We're feeling good about that. We move on to baby step 6, pay off your house early. Now, I know this one's kind of controversial.
Yeah, a lot of people have strong feelings about this one.
Yeah, they do. It's like people cling to that myth that it's actually better to keep a mortgage because of the tax deductions.
Oh, yeah, you hear that a lot.
You do. But Ramsey, He just shuts that myth down, like,
Mm-hmm.
hard. He explains that most people don't even benefit from those deductions in the first place because they're taking the standard deduction.
Okay, right. Yeah, the standard deduction is that fixed amount that, like, lowers your taxable income, right?
Yeah. So if your itemized deductions, which include things like mortgage interest, if those don't exceed the standard deduction, you're better off just taking the standard.
So it might not even make a difference.
It might not, yeah. And even if you do itemize, like, are those mortgage interest tax savings really worth it?
Good question.
That's what Ramsey challenges us to think about. He says it's like trading dollars for quarters. You're saving a little bit on taxes, but you're paying way more in interest over the life of the loan.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. He also has that one where he asks, would you send $10,000 to the bank just to avoid sending $2,200 to the government?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And when you put it that way, it does sound kind of ridiculous.
It does.
So the real win here is becoming completely debt-free,
Yeah.
owning your home outright, having that, like, peace of
And
mind.
that feeling of freedom.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that brings us to our final destination. Baby step 7, build wealth and give.
Yes, abundance.
Abundance, yes. It's about, like, using your financial resources to make a positive impact on the world.
It's interesting because, Ramsey actually links generosity to wealth building. He says that generous people tend to be more successful in all areas of life.
Really?
Yeah, they build stronger relationships, they attract more opportunities, and they often earn more money, too.
So it's like, it's not just about giving back. It's about creating this cycle of abundance.
Exactly. And the motivation isn't, giving to get. It's giving from a place of gratitude and understanding that, the more you give, the more you have to give.
I love that.
Oh,
Okay, so we've made it through all 7 baby steps.
we did it.
We tackled that debt with that gazelle intensity. We built our emergency fund. We started investing for retirement. We're saving for our kids' college. We own our home outright. And now we're building wealth and giving back. It's like quite a journey.
It is a journey. It's important, I think, to address some of the misconceptions that people have about Ramsey's approach.
Okay, yeah. What are those?
A lot of people think that it's all about deprivation. Like, you have to live like a monk.
Right, like you're just eating ramen noodles every night and like never going out to dinner ever again.
Exactly. But that's not what he's advocating at all. It's about being intentional
Right.
with your money and deciding what truly matters to you.
Yeah, it's not about never spending. It's about aligning your spending with your values.
Precisely. Another misconception is that these baby steps are only for people who are, drowning in debt.
Right, right.
But really, they offer a solid framework for anybody, regardless of their financial situation, to build a secure future.
So even someone who's like, doing okay, they could still benefit from going through the baby steps.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It can help anyone make progress faster, refine their habits, and achieve more financial security, freedom, all of that.
Makes sense. So let's say someone's listening right now. They're inspired. They're ready to embrace the baby steps. What's like the best way to get started? What would you tell them?
First thing, you got to commit. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme.
Yeah.
It takes dedication. It takes consistency. But the rewards they're worth it.
They are. And there are resources out there to help people along the way, right?
Absolutely. Ramsey, he has a ton of resources. His Financial Peace University course, his website, his radio show. He even has this whole community of people who have used the baby steps successfully.
So it's not like you're doing this alone. You've
Yeah.
got like this whole team, this whole community of people that are on this same journey with you.
Exactly. It's super motivating, like having a bunch of financial cheerleaders.
I love that. It's amazing to see how the baby steps combine like that practical advice with a focus on, changing your behavior, changing your mindset. It's not just about the numbers. It's about like your relationship with money.
100%. And that transformation can have a ripple effect on your entire life.
Yeah.
It's one thing to talk about these baby steps in theory, but what really brings it to life are the stories of the people who've actually used them to achieve that financial freedom.
Oh, totally. Stories have a way of making things feel real,
They do.
attainable.
They do.
Did any particular stories from our research stand out to you?
There was one story about a couple, we'll call them Sarah and John.
Okay.
They were drowning in debt,
Oh, yeah.
living paycheck to paycheck, fighting about money all the time.
It's so stressful.
It's so stressful. They were at their breaking point when they discovered the baby steps.
So what kind of debt were they dealing with?
It was a mix. Credit cards, student loans, car payments, you name it. And they were making good money, but it was just going right out the door every month.
Those monthly payments, they just eat you alive.
They do. They felt trapped. Hopeless.
Yeah, I can only imagine the anxiety, the stress.
Mm.
So how did they turn things around? What did they do?
Well, they started by making a budget. They cut back on all that unnecessary spending. They even sold one of their cars, started taking public transportation, and they picked up some side hustles to bring in a little extra cash. It was hard work,
Hmm.
but they were determined. Yeah,
To escape that debt.
that's that gazelle intensity.
Gazelle intensity. Laser focus on their goal, making sacrifices. And you know what? Within 18 months, they had paid off every single bit of their consumer debt.
That's amazing.
They were free.
That must have been such a relief.
It was. They described it as this like weight lifting off their shoulders. They could finally breathe again.
Wow. So what did they do then? Did they jump right into investing?
Well, not quite. They knew that life throws curveballs, as we've said.
It does.
They wanted to be prepared, so they focused on baby step 3,
That emergency fund.
the emergency fund. That's right. They saved diligently, and within a few months, they had 3 months' worth of living expenses tucked away in a safe place.
That's fantastic. They had tackled the debt, built that safety net. What a transformation.
It is. So then they moved on to baby step 4,
Investing for retirement.
investing for retirement. They started contributing to their 401ks.
Taking advantage of that company match. Then they opened Roth IRAs and started investing consistently every month.
It's amazing how, like, those small but consistent contributions really add up.
Especially over time, with compound interest.
Yeah, exactly.
So Sarah and John, they were in their early 30s when they started investing. By the time they hit their 50s, they had a pretty substantial nest egg. They were well on their way to a comfortable retirement.
Wow, that's so inspiring.
It is a powerful example of what can happen when you commit to the baby steps. Sarah and John's story shows that anyone can achieve this, no matter where you're starting from.
It's about commitment, perseverance, changing your mindset.
Exactly.
So it's not just about the numbers, it's about transforming your relationship with money.
100%. And that transformation, it can have a ripple effect on your entire life. Sarah and John's relationship, for example, it got so much better.
Oh, that's great.
Once they got their finances in order, they weren't fighting anymore. They were working together as a team.
That's so important. It's a good reminder that financial freedom, it's not just about the money. It's freedom from stress, anxiety, and conflict.
Absolutely.
So powerful.
It's about having the resources to live the life you want,
Yeah.
pursue your passions, without being held back by money.
Well said. I think we've covered everything we set out to do today. We've explored each of the baby steps. We looked at the psychology behind them. We heard some inspiring stories. What's the one key takeaway you want our listener to walk away with today?
The baby steps, they're not just a financial plan, it's a journey of self-discovery.
Okay.
It's about challenging your beliefs about money, building those healthy habits, and ultimately taking control of your future. It's not always going to be easy, but it's rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
And the most important step,
Right.
it's the first one. What's one small action you can take today to get started on your journey toward financial freedom?
Sarah and John's story, it's really amazing. They went from complete financial chaos to, being on track for a comfortable retirement, a life they love.
It's incredible, right? And it really underscores the power of making that decision to take control.
Totally. It's not just about the money. It's about the stress reduction, the better relationships, the freedom to chase your dreams.
Absolutely. And speaking of freedom, that's really the core of baby step 7, isn't it?
Yeah, build wealth and give.
Exactly. It's about getting to a place where money is no longer a source of worry, but a tool to make a difference.
And it's interesting because Ramsey doesn't just talk about, the traditional investments like index funds. He encourages people to explore all sorts of wealth-building strategies like real estate, starting a business, even investing in precious metals.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's no one right way to build wealth.
Right. It's about finding what works for you.
Exactly. What aligns with your goals, your risk tolerance, your values. And when it comes to giving, Ramsey emphasizes a really holistic approach. It's not just about writing checks.
Good.
It's about using your time, your talents, your resources to make an impact.
So it's about finding those ways to contribute that are meaningful to you personally.
Yes. Whether it's volunteering, mentoring, supporting causes you're passionate about, it's about aligning your financial success with your values and using your resources to make a difference.
Well said. I think we've really gone deep today into Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps to financial freedom.
We have.
We explored each step, from tackling that debt with gazelle intensity to building a legacy of wealth and giving. We unpacked the psychology behind the plan, addressed some common misconceptions, and we even heard some pretty inspiring stories from real people who have used these steps to transform their lives.
Absolutely. It's been a great discussion. And I think it highlights that the baby steps, they're not just about achieving financial freedom. It's about finding that peace of mind, stronger relationships, and ultimately a more fulfilling life.
It's a great reminder that financial success is about so much more than just the numbers in your bank account. It's about creating a life of purpose, abundance, and impact.
Couldn't agree more.
So to our listener, as you start or continue your own financial journey, remember the most important step is the first one. What action, no matter how small, can you take today to move closer to your goals? The power to change your financial future, it's within you. Take that first step and see the ripple effects it creates in your life.